Welcome to the Never Yield Pod. Today is Tuesday, September the 30th, and the Arkansas Razorbacks are 2-3 after a 56-13 loss to the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame in what turned out to be Sam Pittman's final game as a head hog of the Arkansas Razorbacks as he was let go by Hunter Yurachek Sunday morning. We will dive into all of that on today's pod and what it means for the Hogs moving forward. We'll talk about the press conference with Bobby Petrino and Hunter Yurachek and the consequential moves that Bobby made in hour one of his interim head coaching takeover. Andrew, what the last 48 hours, brother?
Man, yeah, it was wild. You didn't nobody that I can remember predicting the game Saturday predicted it. I didn't hear a lot of people predicting us to win, but I didn't hear a lot of 56-13 prediction losses. So, did not look good, did not go well. You've heard a lot of the term letting go of the rope Saturday, and obviously the fallout was kind of what you expected. You didn't know exactly what the fallout was going to be and who wasn't going to be here, but you knew somebody wasn't going to be here come Monday. And sure enough, it was the end of the line for Sam. And you know, when you're in the moment, these things sound good. You're like, he's got to go. He's got to get out of here.
Yeah.
And then when it actually
Then it kind of
finally
hurts. It
happens,
kind of hurts.
you're kind of like, man, you hear the story of him hugging his wife Jamie and her kind of like tearing up at the after the press conference, kind of probably knowing what their fate was and him just
Yeah.
kind of comforting her and saying it's going to be all right, Jamie, and that kind of stuff. They don't have kids or anything, so it's just them going back to Hot Springs, I guess. And yeah, it's you knew it had to happen.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's walking away with a ton of money, so he'll be fine. But
Yeah,
you
we'll
just
get into all this
yeah,
contract stuff, but the
yeah,
thing was, is like you just knew if you watched any live post game, nobody talked about the game.
mhm,
There was no talking about the X's and O's or the hogs on the field. Every of the 17 that are out there, every one of them was about this has to be the end.
yeah,
And then that's when you just kind of know. I remember vividly when Chad got beat by Western Kentucky, whatever it was, and he said at that press conference, and you just knew. You knew that was his last press conference.
yep,
And I kind of had the same vibes yesterday,
mhm,
or this weekend. I just
yeah,
kind of had the same vibes watching him that he kind of looked like he knew,
mhm,
and just the fallout and the way the crowd dispersed at the end of the first half, a bunch of them left. You could just kind of tell that this was it.
yeah, yeah. You half hate it for you. It's just not the ending that you wanted. Like
Yeah.
you knew he wasn't. This wasn't going to be our 10, 15-year head coach. You knew it was kind of a
I put that on Hunter. I put that on the administration.
1,000%,
They let it go too long. I think
way
it's
too long,
solely their fault that this happened.
thousand
If
percent.
they would have done this after the 4-8 year, or even after last year's 6-6 year,
Mm-hmm.
and they could have came to an agreement, he could have went off on his swan song, and everybody could have been happy.
Yep.
But I mean, there's not a question in my mind that Sam poured his heart and soul into this program,
Mm-hmm.
and it just didn't work.
Right.
I think it was ineptitude by Hunter Yurachek and the administration to let this go on.
Yeah. 1,000%. And I don't know if we want to get into where I stand on Hunter Yurachek right now, but he had his opportunity apparently on Friday to walk back his comments at the Little Rock Touchdown Club to the board of directors. I'm sure at that meeting, they probably gave him some kind of inclination of, hey, it's either you get rid of him if this goes south tomorrow, or it's you. And, there's a lot of stories about Jeff Long standing by Brett Bielema, and that's what got him canned. And then Bielema, obviously, a few weeks later was let go. So I think Hunter intends on staying and making this next hire. I personally think he should be held accountable fumbling NIL, for keeping Sam this year, which obviously I'm on record. Well, I think we're both on record on the first pod saying we why not make a move at the end after last year when you would have been the premier job opening. You could have had
Mhm.
your pick of the litter, and now you're already going up against what, 5 other schools with more to
Yeah,
come, more in the conference
more to
coming.
come.
And so, yeah, in my opinion, he shouldn't be able to make this hire. I think he should be held accountable for a
I
lot of
don't think
other
he
things.
is. I don't think he
But
is.
yeah,
I think he's gonna have no say, and I know has to say he's gonna have say, but I don't. I think the boosters are gonna make the hire. I think the board's gonna make the hire. I don't think they trust him. I don't think they trust him to make the hire.
yeah.
That's
I
just
mean,
me speculating. I have no evidence of that,
yeah,
but that's just the vibes I get. But let's go back. All right, let's kind of walk through the timeline here. So
sure.
you were at the game Saturday.
Yep.
Obviously it was a disaster. We're not doing any hot seats, no shout outs, no position report cards today. This is all just reaction
Just
and
getting
our
into it.
thoughts on of what's happened the last 48 hours. So you go to the game. Crowd looked great at the start of the game.
Oh,
People looked excited even after a loss to Memphis. Just kind
yep.
of talk us through kind of the vibes and the atmosphere at the game.
Yeah. So, like I said, Alabama A&M, which feels like, good Lord, feels like 2 months ago, but 5 weeks ago, the only other game we've had in Fayetteville so far. I told you I drove right up to the stadium, parked, walked right in, no issues getting in, walked right in, sat down, flyover, everything. This week, uh, I was coming south towards Fayetteville. We hit traffic at about Elm Springs. And so it was already back, and we left pretty early,
That's
me
a
and my
long ways away from MLK exit for those of you who don't know.
yes, yes, it's probably 5 exits, 5, 6 exits back, uh, heading south, not to mention all the traffic that was coming from the south heading north. So, uh, yeah, we hit traffic a lot earlier. It took us a while to get to the stadium, and then we tailgated for a little bit, and then probably about 20 till kickoff, we went down to the gate, and it was packed. I will say it moved a little faster than it has in years past. So I think it took us about 10 minutes to get in the gate. So we were to our seats about 10 minutes before kickoff. Got to see the flyover. Flyover was incredible. 2 F-18s came over the south end zone. They flew lower than any other flyover that I've seen at Razorback Stadium. And apparently they said they slowed down as much as they could. So it was loud, it was low, and it was great, fantastic. Crowd was packed. It was really cool. We don't get a lot of green teams to come to Fayetteville. Me and my buddy Zach, we were talking that the SEC, I guess, doesn't have a green team as we were trying to think about it. So I was like, we've got like
Mhm.
18 maroon teams, but
Yeah.
or forms of red. But so it was cool to see green sprinkled in. It was a stripe out, so you had red, white, and then green was just kind of intermixed in, and then you had the one green section for the away section over there. And it used to be 107. I don't remember. I don't know what it is now, but or 111. Uh but it was full. I mean, I'm in the south end zone, so we're always looking down the to our left. You got the east side, and
Oh,
then to the right, you got the west side. And we're always looking at the tops to see, if the corners are full. It was
mhm.
packed. So I think they said the 10th highest
So
attendance ever.
people showed up.
They
People
did
showed up
after the
even
abysmal,
after the yeah.
yeah, and just a good environment leading up to it. The flyover got people pumped up, and then it just
Kickoff.
went south from there. You get we won the toss, elected to receive. I immediately looked at Zach. I was like, dude, what are we doing? I was like, I hate even with a good offense, I don't like receiving. I always like to defer to the second half. It's just personal preference, and I think a lot of coaches do. It's kind of mixed, but then we go down. We opt to kick the field goal instead of going for it on 4th and 4. we both kind of looked at each other and was like, if you're taking the opening kick, you gotta go for that. I mean, what's 3 points going to be in a game where it was expected to be high scoring? It was only high scoring on
Yeah.
one side, but yeah, it was after that moment you scored the other one to make it. What do we keep it at 14-10? I think it was 14-3. We got to 14-10, and then
Yeah.
nothing after that.
Nothing after
So it
that.
was
Yeah.
just before halftime, people were rolling out, and
Yeah.
it was
So
them.
obviously on TV we could hear the boo birds,
Yep.
in person, obviously was that pretty prominent. Sam obviously said he couldn't hear him. I mean, I'm assuming that was impossible not to hear.
Yeah. It was the loudest kind of right before halftime, and then it was, there wasn't a lot of people left after halftime, so it was just kind of like
Yeah.
you could hear. I told you beforehand that in the third quarter I could hear a guy like 5, 6 sections over, just clear as day, because there was no barrier of sound
Just having a
between us.
conversation, yeah.
Yes. So
Yeah.
it got quiet. We stayed to the very end. We were like, we're gonna endure this. We got a
It's a
Saturday to go
true
watch the game.
fan. Andrew is a true fan, ladies and
I've
gentlemen.
I can count on less than one hand how many games I've left early, even the
Me
bad
too.
ones.
Me too. Me too.
And I think 2 of those were Chad Morris games. So,
Yeah.
but
So yeah, so we're not even gonna break down the game either.
yeah,
We're not even going down that route. Obviously it was bad. So Sam has his press conference. He kind of has another soundbite where he talked about, well, hell, I'd be mad at me too if I was a fan,
yeah,
and that was kind of going around national media. And then it was Sunday morning, when we got the news that Sam had been let go. Uh, so let's just stop right there. Let's talk about Sam, kind of what he did his 6 years here. And then we'll talk about kind of why we think it was important that that happened. But I would personally like to thank Sam Pittman. I know
mhm,
we've done that a couple times on this podcast.
yep,
Um, I remember him getting emotional in his introductory press conference.
yep,
He probably never thought this was ever an option for him to be the head coach at the University of Arkansas, and that you can't question that. That he poured his heart and soul into this program. Um, Unfortunately, it went too long, like we talked about. Uh, he was hired in the worst spot the program has ever been, and nobody wanted the job.
mhm,
And he stepped up and took the job. And I think the whole time this was supposed to be a 3 or 4 year, hey, get us out of this crap hole we're in, and
mhm,
let's pass it off to somebody who can take us to the next level.
yep,
That's kind of how I thought it was going to be. But here we are 6 years later, and for whatever reason, there could be a million reasons, whether it's financially that, they couldn't afford to pay a buyout, or I don't know. But I think back, my favorite, that 8-4 year, 2021, that was a fun year. We won all three trophies. He has that picture of him sitting in the king's chair with all the trophies and the bowling ball. And that was KJ Jefferson's kind of coming out party. And we started out 4-0 that year, maybe. Was that the year? Yeah. And just had a awesome, fun season. And that, Texas came to Fayetteville that year, and we beat the crap out of Texas. That was Sark's first year at Texas. And so, I just, there was some good memories. Unfortunately, it was a long time ago, and but I would like to, I have nothing but respect for Sam. The way he handled his contract, he met with Hunter in the middle, um, and didn't make him pay the full buyout, and that just shows his character. That just shows how good of a person he is, and I hope, and I think it will be, I hope that he can go down to Hot Springs, and when people see him at the races or on the lake or at a restaurant or wherever, that there's no hard feelings, no animosity. They could just, I'm hoping and I think that is kind of how he'll be viewed from here on out moving forward. But yeah, Sam has some great sound bites, man. The old cold
yep,
beer, have me a good old cold beer. And that was a classic. And obviously the turn that damn jukebox
yeah.
up when that was his biggest
Yeah,
motto.
and that came apparently came
Um,
natural to him just after the first win, and,
yeah, yeah.
and then when he first got here, you had the "Yes, sir!" all that stuff, so,
Yeah, yeah, that was a great
uh,
one. Yeah, that was a
so
great one.
yeah.
And but that's the thing is, like, you see all these videos even from 2, 3, 4 years ago, and he looked happy,
Yeah,
smiling, energetic, and you could just tell the weight of the
yeah,
job the last year or 2 is just
yeah.
worn on him. Even in the
Mhm,
wins, didn't have that same pizzazz
mhm.
about him. So I think he knew this was coming, and I think this is a relief off his chest. And hopefully we hear from him soon.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, it had to be
mhm.
done. It was time. But like you said, we called for it. I'm in several group messages where we were all calling for it. And then when it happens, you're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
man." Kinda feel bad
Yeah.
for him.
No, for sure.
Um, so yeah, so obviously that had to happen. I think 98% of Arkansas Razorback fans are in agreement on
Mhm,
that. So that happens on Sunday morning. They named Bobby the interim coach. I found it very interesting in the statement that was released by the U of A that at the end it said, "And Coach
mhm,
Petrino wants to be, in the running to be the
mhm,
head coach." So that puts in my head already that not only is he a serious, serious
mhm.
candidate, that those reports last week of Brandon Marcello saying Bobby was working the phones that had to be walked back a little bit, those were obviously true. Because I think Bobby I think Bobby probably has some things lined up, and that was his pitch to Hunter. It's like, "Hey, I've already got this stuff lined up. I've got money lined up. I've got for the collective, whatever." And I think that's one reason that was probably put in there at the bottom was because Bobby was working the phones and does have some things lined up, and just putting it out there to see how the fan base reacts to Bobby wanting to be the head coach. Just kind of seeing how all of us react to see if it's something that we were all in on or out on, and just trying to fill out the fan base too.
Yeah, I just think that Hunter Yurchek would love nothing more than to just be able to pass this off without having to do an extensive search. We know he didn't have anything to do with Calipari, really. It was all set up for him. It was basically just don't go mess this up. And so I think he would love nothing more than to just be able to pass it off without having to do some extensive search. I think he would love it if we just went and beat Tennessee somehow and then could rattle off a few more to get to bowl eligible, and I think he would probably conclude the search at that point and just hand it to him. Um, I'm
What a
of the
fallback option. Is that not the best, like, fallback option in the history of fallbacks? Like, hey, if number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5 all pass us up, we still got Bobby over here.
Yeah, so I'm not in the camp of huge Bobby believers. Obviously, he had 2 great seasons when he was here
Yeah.
before, obviously. What a lot of people don't remember is our defense was not that good when he was here. Willie Robinson era was terrible. Not as bad as it was Saturday, but pretty bad all the same. But what I was excited for, or excited may not be the right word, but to make the change now, because now you're giving a pretty good sample size or a pretty good audition for Bobby Petrino
Yeah.
that he's got 7 games. Because I would guesstimate you've got anywhere from 30 to maybe 50% of the fan base that still is in love with Bob Petrino, is still
Mhm.
enamored with the glory days of him being here, that thinks he's God's greatest gift to creation and coaching. But let's not fool ourselves that nobody else was breaking down the door to hire this guy. That I mean, he failed at Louisville the second time. Had to go back to, he's had to have stints at Western Kentucky and Missouri State. And so the last time he was a Power 5 or Power 4 coach was what, like 2018, 2019, something like that. And that was pre NIL and pre transfer portal. So he's unproven in that realm or in the current landscape of college football. So I'm not saying he can't do it, and I'm not saying that I don't want to see us improve. I would love to be competitive and win games the rest of this year. I hope we do, especially for the kids. Taylor Green is maybe one of my top 3, 4 favorite Razorback quarterbacks of my lifetime. I like the kid. I like that, after the Memphis game when Mike Washington fumbled, he was the first one to come up and put his arm around him and, pick his head up. And so, I mean, he's done a lot of things that are admirable. And so, yeah, I think we could do some things. I think my prediction is 2-5 under Bobby, and
Okay, I'll take it.
I think that would shut uh, the door for all those fans that think that he's just going to come in and we're going to win a national championship because Bobby Petrino is our head coach again. I mean, you've heard those radio callers. The Razorback
Yeah,
fans don't sound dumb or sound the dumbest when there's a coaching search because you hear every name in the book, and again, 30% of those thinks that Bobby Petrino would win 4 national championships if he was the head coach here.
yeah.
So,
So I'm with you. I think, and I've said this the whole time. Like, I want a young guy
yep.
who has almost only been brought up in the NIL transfer portal era,
Mhm.
who for
Yep.
sure knows how to navigate this, knows
Mhm.
what this looks like. Um, I mean, I think I love Bobby, but I think the older generation, you look at the basketball coaches who got out because of the portal,
Mhm.
and the Roy Williams and the Jay Wrights, and you could go down the list, and the Nick
Coach K.
Sabans, Coach K, Gus Malzahn, he's just a coordinator now. So
Mhm.
I feel like the portal and NIL is a young man's game.
Yep.
And that doesn't mean Bobby can't coach football. That doesn't mean Bobby, I mean, he's a freaking obviously offensive
Oh, yeah.
guru.
Yeah.
Um, but I would be fine with Bobby if we got passed up on all the other guys that when we go over our list on Friday,
Yeah.
like they all said no. Okay, at least we have Bobby to fall back on. Worst case
Mhm.
scenario.
Yeah.
So talking about Bobby, he do you think you said go 2-5 these last 7? Is there a number on the wins it has to be, or is it just like getting the kids to play hard and show heart and show fight, getting this defense turned around somehow? Like what are we looking for in these last 7 games to not only for Bobby's audition, but like what would impress you? I mean, because we still got the same players,
Right.
I mean, and and we're about to get to what Bobby's done and what he said, but before we get to that, like what do you want to see? What is success to you these next 7 games?
Yeah. I think it's a good question. Um, I think last week on the pod, I said I need Bobby Petrino out of the press box and down on the field chewing some butt on the sideline, and
You got that?
I got that. Maybe not in the in the way that I thought it was going to happen in 1 week, but yeah, sure enough, he's going to be on the sidelines, and I think he'll probably be chewing some dudes. 'Cause I think he's going to coach with everything he's got to try to get this full time job. I will say, let me say this before I get into what success looks like for him. I I do think that if for whatever reason it could work out, he could adapt to the current landscape of NIL and transfer portal and all that because he's made some negative comments in the past about it too. And so I just need him. And if Hunter's going to stick around, I need him to be 1,000% on board with this too. But the one thing I do think could be cool about it is if it does work out, that I do think Bobby Petrino could be a long term coach here, like to where I think he would want to put despite his past of jumping around a lot of places, I think he does have something special in his heart for
That
this place.
works.
Yes.
Yeah.
Something about Northwest Arkansas and the Arkansas program, he just has an affinity for some reason. I mean, I've heard him talk about it differently than I've heard him talk about like when he went back to Louisville and some of these other stops. So I do think that could be a cool thing if it works out that way. I think he could be here long term if he could have success. We have seen it where he has about 3 years of success and then it just kind of falls off. Like one really good recruiting class, he brings them, coaches them up, kind of like at Arkansas. He had like 5 NFL dudes come out of one NFL or one recruiting class. But we also know that's not how you build a current roster in today's landscape. So I say all that to say, what does success look like over these last 9 weeks, 7 games? Honestly, I think if it was up to Hunter Yurchek, he would hire Bobby Petrino right now and call it, wipe his hands of it, call it good. But yeah, I think it's got to be a combination of you got to pull some games out. How many? I don't know. I don't know what. Again, I don't know what that over under win number is. I think it's got to be at least 3 to probably appease the majority of the fan base if you were to put a number on wins. But it's how are we playing? Are you, when we're seeing some of these, I know like DJ Williams does like a film breakdown after every game. Like when he's going and doing those film breakdowns, are you seeing different pursuit to the ball? Are you seeing better effort? Are you seeing uh, better routes to make tackles? Are you seeing better wrap ups? Are you seeing better routes run by receivers, even though he's technically been over the offense the whole time? But are you just seeing more effort and emphasis to where you can tell that they're more bought into what Bobby's wanting to do as opposed to because I've heard a lot that a lot of these players we had 40 plus new players on this roster from last year. I've heard a lot over the last couple of days that maybe some of these guys weren't bought in from the beginning, which I mean it's so hard to have a team that to put a team together in today's era and unless they're just all dudes that are just ready to go out there and get it done. So yeah, I think it's a little mix of can we pull some of these games out and can you get the buy can you change the culture? Because the culture ever since the last really since Bielema has just not been there. It's just something's been off. Something has not been clicking the way it did in the Houston era, and then Petrino taking over for Houston Nut. Something just hasn't been there ever since Bielema took over, and it's just kind of it's deteriorated over time. And so, can you change? Can you see a culture change, and can you see the tactical things on the field improve? And then can you pull out 2 3 games the rest of the way?
Yeah, I think our eyes will tell us pretty much all we need to see. Like
Yeah.
if if he can get these guys flying around, playing hard, proud to wear the hog on their helmet, I think our eyes will just tell us like, yeah, he's got it. He can't come in and change a culture in one bye week that's
Right.
been set since these kids came in. Now he can, try to get them to play harder and change obviously some things,
Right.
but I just think the eye test will tell us.
Mhm.
I mean, he still has who he has, especially on the defensive side.
Mhm.
It is what it is. But it was obvious that they weren't playing hard, whether it was
Right.
for Sam, whether it was for T. Will, and so if they come out with a fire under their butt, which I can tell you right now, and I've been lucky enough to know some really good friends of mine that were student managers, GAs on Petrino's staff back
Mhm.
in the day when he was here. And Tuesday morning when they walk into practice, it's gonna be the hardest practice them dudes have ever had.
Yeah.
And they're gonna be held to a different standard than they have
Mhm.
been.
Yep.
They're gonna get dog cussed more than they've
Mhm.
been dog cussed.
Yep.
And it's gonna be a whole new world.
Mhm.
And how they respond to that was gonna say a lot.
Yep.
Like they could take their lunch and go home, or they could buy in and try to change the trajectory of the season, not just for wins and losses, but for these guys that want to go play in the NFL
Mhm.
or get a new NIL deal at a new school. They need to put some
Yep.
good tape out.
Yep.
So yeah, we'll see. I mean, I can't put a wins or loss number on it. I think our eyes will just tell us like if he's able to get them to play hard, and if these kids are more disciplined, if they're flying to the ball, because that's what happened. That's what happened Saturday.
Mhm.
That
Yep.
it was effort. That's the reason he got blown out. That's the reason Sam got fired. It was clear that he couldn't get the guys to play hard.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, so Bobby's named interim, and we wake up on Monday morning, and the first thing we see is that Bobby has fired Travis Williams.
Mhm.
So we went from, hey, T Will or Sam has to be fired. Either Sam's going to fire T Will as a scapegoat, or Hunter's just going to fire Sam, and we'll figure it out.
Mhm.
Well, neither of them are here.
Yep.
Bobby woke up and he chose violence. He chose war. He chose
Yeah.
war Monday morning,
Yeah.
and we'd already heard rumblings of Bobby and T Will not getting along,
Right.
in the fall, and so yeah, that happens, and everybody's kind of like, "Wow, okay." And then about 15 minutes later, it comes out that he's also fired Marcus Woodson,
Mhm.
co-defensive coordinator,
Mhm.
and Deke Adams, defensive
Yeah.
line coach.
Yes.
And so Bobby, which obviously he's got experience in this, and he has a core beliefs and a standard that he thinks a program should be ran by.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, my reaction when I saw that was Bobby. He really is looking at this as an audition
Yeah.
because he doesn't think he can win with those guys.
Right.
And the fact that he's comfortable firing those three guys with however many 20, 30 years of experience, he's firing all three of them to promote, you know, from within assistant defensive line coaches or GAs taking it. I mean,
Mhm.
there's one position coach left on defense. One.
Right.
And Bobby's fine with it. So yeah, Bobby ain't messing around. I would be very if I could have been a fly on the wall, like you do, and to be a head coach in the SEC, you got to be ruthless.
Mhm.
But to be named interim one night and then the next morning you'll make those moves and look those guys in the eye when you weren't their boss 12 hours ago, you were not their boss, and you just walked in and be like, yeah,
Right.
you're gone.
Yeah.
Like you got to be ruthless. You got to be mean. And so
Yeah.
yeah, I was impressed. I was shocked. I'm
Mhm.
still kind of skeptical. I mean, but we'll see how it plays out. Him
Yeah.
firing all three.
Yeah. Do you think he did look him in the eye this morning, or do you think he put a letter in there on their desk like he did with the Falcons? Apparently, is what he did there.
Yeah,
Just going and
yeah,
putting letters in lockers, being like, "Sorry, we're not here
yeah,
anymore." You'll
yeah,
notice you don't have
yeah.
a head coach.
Touche. Good point. Good point.
But
Yeah. So
who
I don't
knows?
know. Yeah, I was shocked by that.
Or did they
So
find
that
out the same time
happens,
we did?
right? They may
Did
have,
they get Pete Thamel's tweet?
and that
Oh,
also goes back to
interesting.
like Hunter giving Bobby full reign. Like
Mhm.
most interims don't have that kind of. They can't do that. They're
Right.
not going to be just giving full reign. They're like, hey, just get us through this season. But like Hunter's obviously told Bobby, you do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. So then we have the press conference today. Hunter
Mhm.
and Bobby side by side. It went about how I thought it would go.
Mhm.
I thought Bobby had all the right answers, and they asked. I'll give the media credit. They asked him some tough questions. So
Mhm.
let's get into the press conference. My first takeaway was Bobby pretty much threw that defensive staff out to dry. I mean,
Mhm.
he pretty much said, without saying, he's like, "We don't tackle well. We don't run to the ball.
Mhm.
We're not in our run fits in the run game.
Mhm.
We got to do all these things better. We got to get back to good stationary work." So that makes me think this whole time, like whether he's in the box during a game or he's in practice, obviously he sees his defense,
Mhm.
and he didn't just come up with this overnight. Like he's been thinking for a while, we can't win with what's going on this side of the ball.
Right.
And so I thought that was interesting how I mean, he really didn't hold back. He was just like, it's just
Mhm.
not been good enough
Yeah.
defensively.
Yeah. Yeah. I think he said a lot of things. Hunter said what he needed to say. Again, if it was up to me, he would have been gone with Sam today. But maybe if he can go do the fundraising he needs to do, and maybe if he can, get a good. He already said that he was going to put together a committee to help him do the search. I guess if
Thank God.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So if he's going to
But
be
let me ask
here,
you this. Let me ask you this about Hunter. So they asked him straight up. They said, Why would a coach come work here with what you said last week? Do you have a financial package in place to make this job appeal to certain people? And he's
Mhm.
like, yes, we do. We've got all this ready to go. We feel very confident with what we'll put in front of a coach that they'll want to be the head coach at Arkansas.
Mhm.
And the next question was Sam financially set up for success? He said no.
Right.
It's one or the other.
Yeah. Right.
You're lied to us about one or the other.
Yeah.
And so I'm not saying you can't go get a little bit of extra cash, when you let Sam go, but
Mhm.
but something just doesn't add up here.
Yeah, I just think he says what he thinks you wanna hear or what he thinks you need to hear, and it hasn't related well to the fan base. It always comes across like, "We need your money, we need your money, we need your money," and that's what anybody's taken away from it, and yeah, I just think he from the outside looking in, obviously, I'm not an insider or anything like that, but from the outside looking in, just looks like is he making regular trips to, like, the alumni base in DFW and the parent base in the DFW and Texas area? Are you going down to some of these other hotbeds where we've got alumni in New York? New York has, like, 3 bars, Arkansas bars up there where there's alumni that
Mhm.
meet and watch games and stuff. Uh, are you going out and doing all those things, or are you just checking in every, like, 6 months and be like, "Hey, we need a little more money to be competitive here. We need a little more from you to do this," and, it rubs people wrong if all you're doing is coming and asking for money all the time and not, building relationships at every corner of the state. And, again, it goes back to recruiting too, is putting a fence up around the state of donors of and going down to some of these other places and doing that. Is he doing all those things? I don't believe it, but
Yeah.
maybe he is. I just think there could be more being done, and so it feels like he's just saying things that you wanna hear or telling you what he thinks you need to hear, and so
Mhm.
I
Well,
yeah.
and I've heard a lot of people today already complaining about, the players have been on social media before the players meeting even, tweeting thumbs down and tweeting whatever else they don't like. And man, you have to understand, like, players have emotions and
Oh,
they
yeah.
committed to a coach or a
Yep.
coaching staff as much as we want to believe they committed to the University of Arkansas. Some of them maybe do, the in-state guys, but
Mhm.
most of them commit to a coach or a coaching staff.
Yeah.
And now that, those guys have been let go, um, we've had like 5 or 6 high school decommits already. Like,
Yeah.
that's just that happens. When you
Yep.
make a coaching change, all this stuff happens.
Mhm.
And, Bobby, when he went in that first players meeting at 2:30 today, I guarantee you he looked those guys in the eyes, and I'm sure he kinda talked about and showed them what he did when he was a coach here the first time,
Mhm.
but he also just, relayed the whole message of, life is a life of tough choices and unfair
Mhm.
circumstances, and it's how you respond to these things, and you still have a lot to play for.
Yep.
You still have a chance to go make a bunch of money, put a bunch of good clips on tape and on film, and just have some pride. And so, I mean, yeah, that was his first job, was getting, especially mainly those defensive guys, to that just lost all their coaches. There's not times where players obviously don't like their coach, but there's a lot of times where even when you're losing and things aren't going good, you still believe that your coach is putting you in the best position he can and he cares
Mhm.
about you. And
Yeah.
so that's where most of those guys are at, is they don't think it's the coach's fault. They think it's their fault.
Mhm.
Um, so, you know, that's his first job, is to get those defensive players to play hard and buy in and to not enter the transfer portal. There's a 30-day window that's open now. Those guys can leave. They can't go
Yep.
play anywhere. I don't know why you would go in the portal, because you can't play football the rest of the year.
Right, and
But
that's what I needed cleared up because I was like, because originally, like, last week, I was like, does Oklahoma State, UCLA, Virginia Tech, do they not have any dudes on defense that we can just go get and plug in right away? But yeah, they cleared it up, for me today that you can't transfer in this 30-day window and go play this year. You'd be
yeah.
sitting out till next year. So Yeah, that was good to clear up because I was like, "You're gonna tell me they didn't have anybody we could have gone and gotten to help out this defense?"
Mhm.
But yeah, but on the flip side, apparently Bobby, which I don't know what kind of money they're giving him or allowing him to bring in coaches, but apparently you can bring in coaches to replace some of these guys that
Mhm.
he's let go. So that's what I'm curious to see is how much freedom or what kind of a leash does he have to go get some guys to help out on the defensive side? And I think he said he was looking for one guy to help with offense too.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's gonna be a very interesting next couple days, next bye week.
Hmm.
Um, there's if I go back to all things being considered, to have someone like Bobby Petrino stepping in as an interim
Hmm.
as opposed to whoever else, all these UCLA and Virginia Tech, they'd love to have Bobby Petrino as their interim.
Oh,
You
right.
know,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
so all things considered, I think we're in a decent situation. I just don't know how many wins are out there. I don't care if Nick Saban's coaching us. I don't know how many wins
Hmm.
are out there for this team moving forward.
Yeah.
Um, but it's been an interesting 48 hours, and like we said, had to happen. All this had to happen. What a year to start the pod. What a year for
Yeah.
the Never Yield podcast to get
Yeah.
in the game, man.
Yeah. Picked a good time.
Plane tracking season. We get to
Yep.
start tracking planes, and
Yeah. We'll do some pods live from Drake Field down there.
that's right. Yeah, your field, your airfield.
That's right. I'm
Um,
sure somebody in my family back then was a pilot.
but yeah, it's gonna be fun these next 2 months or so to figure out where we
Yeah.
go on from here. So on Friday, what we're going to do is we're going to give you each of our short list of candidates, maybe 5 or 6 each. We're not going to talk about it beforehand. We're going to both come in not knowing who the other one wants or likes. And we're just going to make our pitches, and kind of break down these guys' records, what their buyouts look like, if we think they're serious candidates. And let me also say, like, this is rumor mill season.
Hmm.
There's gonna be rumors.
Yep.
We're gonna probably report stuff that may or may not be true that we may hear. Just
Hmm.
remember, it's all rumors. Like
Yep.
we're just because we say, hey, we're hearing this, that doesn't mean that we're in the know
Yep.
inside the walls of the facility.
Right.
Um, but yeah, it's gonna be fun these next couple weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, again, it's just it's wild. Coaching searches are wild. I mean, the first tweet that I saw it pretty soon after. I think it was Wes Moore was the first one to report John Calipari. When I saw it like a couple minutes after he did it. I was like, somebody go get this guy. I was like,
Yeah.
this guy has
What is he
gone off the
saying?
rail. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
sure enough, then I started seeing some blue checks resharing it
Mhm.
and reporting it. So I was like, maybe there's some truth to this. So yeah, who knows? Again, I really wish this is only like the 49th to last time I'll ever say this, but I really wish we'd have done something last year instead of competing with all these other jobs that are already open. And then, looking like Florida's probably coming open, Wisconsin could come open, Auburn could come open. There's some competitive schools that you're going to be going up against, not to mention, some possible in conference moves, going could happen. So then that's just
Mhm.
adding another school that you're up against. So anyway, I'll say this that whoever we hire, this has to be the program changing hire. Like we can't afford to mess this one up. Like this has to be the right guy to come in here and lead this program. It can't be another, let's try this out, or a
Right.
unorthodox hire or, somebody that's completely unproven. We need this has to be you got to get this one right. You got to get this program out of embarrassment because right now it's probably us or Kentucky for the worst
Oh, yeah.
SEC program.
We're at the bottom of the barrel. Yeah.
I mean, you got College Game Day going to a Vanderbilt game. They're not going to Vanderbilt. It's at Alabama, but
Yeah,
a
still.
Vanderbilt game.
Yeah.
So we're far
It's
removed from
gonna
that.
have to be the best sales job what that Hunter and the boosters have ever done in their life.
Mhm.
Because financially, just you've got to sell this job, and you're got to find a guy who's crazy enough to be like, "Well, the last 3 guys have been fired, but let me take a shot at it," you know, I
Right.
mean, and so it's gonna take a guy who's just got a calling to Arkansas, and I don't know what that looks like, but it's not been a great job since Bobby, obviously, the first time.
Yeah.
And so it's going to take a crazy person to jump into this hellhole that we love to call Arkansas Razorback football.
Well, there's gotta be a little bit of a competitive edge to a coach to wanna be like I've always said if I, growing up, projecting if I was ever gonna be a coach and, like, playing NCAA football, like, I always wanted to go to a program that had never won seriously or had won recently. So, if I'm and again, I'm about to say this name, I do not think it's even remotely an option, but I'm just saying for, like, a Nick Saban type to be like, "I've won at LSU, I've won at Alabama. Let me go to a play let me just test and see." I've always been like, "Let me just see if I could do it. Could I go to
Yeah.
an Arkansas? Could I go to a Kentucky? Could I go to a, even smaller school even and win a championship there? Could my coaching ability and my name garner enough to where I could recruit well, to where I could establish and set a like completely change a culture?" Again, please, not that we got a bunch of people taking clips from it, but don't think that I think that that's a realistic possibility. But that will not. I can go ahead and say that will not be on my coaching hot board on
Yeah.
Friday.
To be fair, you have to at least make him say no, right?
Oh,
You at
dude,
least you at least waste 2 minutes of your life to make the phone call
dude,
just to make sure,
yeah.
right?
Well, I'm
Okay.
gauge. I'm exhausting all options if I'm anywhere remotely close to this search. So I will say that. And
Uh,
if somehow you even get an inkling that he would even take a phone call,
okay.
I'm up in my donation monthly. I promise you. I'll be like, I'm the
Yeah.
first one there. So,
Yeah, I was just making sure you just and on Friday's show, like, I'll probably have a list of guys you make say no,
yep.
like, you make them tell you no,
Hmm.
and then I'll have a list of guys, "Okay, here's my top 5 or 6,"
Okay,
like,
we can structure it. We can
that's
structure it like that. Okay, I'm
that's
good with
kinda
that.
how I think. Yeah, that's kinda
Okay,
how I think that needs to work.
yeah,
Um, anyways, yeah, so that's the show, that's the pod. What a time once again. Thank you, Sam Pittman. No hard
yes,
feelings, brother. It was just time. Bobby, let's get in there and rip some ass in practice this week and make these kids know what real football looks like.
yep,
And let, I want to see that. I want to see that intense Bobby Petrino on the sideline. I feel very good. I will have some sort of bet on Arkansas, Tennessee, maybe first quarter or first half, because I will be shocked if we don't come out and he has them ready to run through a brick wall the first quarter or half, and then talent will eventually take over for Tennessee.
yeah,
But that's kind of my how I see that playing out.
yeah. I'm interested to see what the line will be. The opening line will be for that one. Yeah, because I think, yeah, I mean that's your first chance to make a statement, and there's going to be a major overreaction one way or the other, no matter how we play this game. If we play them close or somehow win, you're going to have all these people be like, "See, we told you, Bobby Petrino was the guy who's the answer." And or if we get blown out, then it's like, "Well, we found out who it's not going to be him," and you obviously can't judge it off the one game. So
Yeah.
it's going to be collective over the 9 weeks of how we're feeling, and so we'll see how we do with this runway, as Hunter Yurachek called it, to go off of. So
Let's do it.
yeah,
Let's do it. Uh, Thank everybody for listening. Just a forewarning, we did have a few technical difficulties this pod, so
That
we're
we
going to
did.
try to make this look good. And if it looks a little glitchy in areas, we apologize. Check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube, and give us a follow on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram.
Yep.
And we will have our hot seats, or not our hot seats, our short list, our coaches short list
Yep.
on Friday's pod, and then y'all can really get after us for what you think of our short list. So,
Yeah.
anyways, y'all have a good week, and Andrew, take us home, brother.
All right. As always, stay classy, never yield, and let's go Hogs. Let's go. Let's go change the culture, change the program. Starts today.
Woo pig,
Woo
baby.
pig.